What if I told you that there's a way for you to get free cash back, free money to put back into your motorcycle by doing nothing more than paying your everyday bills and everyday living expenses? And while doing all this, you're gonna boost your credit score up as well, which is gonna make it extremely easy to go buy your next motorcycle, because dealerships love 800 credit scores. I've been thinking about this topic a lot because a lot of people there's a lot of misinformation out there as far as credit cards go. So I figured I'd go for a ride today and kind of explain how I handle things, how I do things, and how I use credit cards to help me. So yes, we're talking about credit cards, but there is a disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is me simply telling you how I do things with my credit cards and how it's benefited me over the years. So don't come after me if you fall into credit card debt. I'm not responsible. Credit cards can be extremely dangerous if not used responsibly. Do not spend money you do not have. Treat credit cards like cash. Now let's get into it. Today we're gonna take the Grom because the Grom has not been ridden in a while and she needs it.
Typically when I tell people that I don't remember the last time I used my debit card and that I typically pay for everything with a credit card, including everyday expenses, my bills, everything, they always ask me the same thing. Why would you pay interest on purchases when you could just pay with cash? And it turns out that a lot of people think that you just pay interest on every credit card purchase, but that's not the case. You see, if you pay your balance in full every month and never carry a balance from one month to the next, you don't pay interest at all. It's same as cash. And with most credit cards, there's a benefit to using their credit card. There's cash back or rewards. There's all kinds of perks to actually just using a credit card. So if you pay attention and watch this video, you can kind of see what I do to avoid paying any interest, how to use a credit card responsibly to help you get free money and boost your credit score. The first thing on the list of things we need to discuss today are the type of cards to get. The type of cards to look for when shopping for a card to add to your wallet. A lot of people look at the interest rate and they look for the one with the lowest interest rate. But we're going to disregard that because it doesn't matter what the interest rate is because we're not paying interest. We're not paying interest because we're going to be paying it in full, right? So the two things that you really want to look for is the amount of cash back you can get, which is usually in the form of a percentage. And also you want to make sure that there are zero annual fees. If there's zero annual fees, that means that you're free to use the card and you're not going to get a bill at the end of the year for their perks. Basically, there are certain cards that do carry an annual fee, like a lot of I think it's American Express cards. They have a lot of the Amex cards have fees, but just avoid those unless you know you could really utilize them. Unless you're like super wealthy or something like that, then you could probably utilize them. But for us average folk, yeah, just find the one with zero annual fees and a good percentage back, cash back. Those ranges could be anywhere from 3 to 5%. It just depends on the card. I've got an Amazon card. I get 5% back on all of my Amazon purchases. So basically what I do is everything for my house, I just buy through Amazon. I get 5% back on all of those purchases. Obviously, you want to price check a little bit because sometimes you can get some things in your local grocery store cheaper than on Amazon, but you just got to keep aware of that and kind of be mindful of that. Now you can compare all of the different cards through a typical Google search or through apps like Credit Karma or anything like that. Credit Karma I really like because they're going to tell you what the odds are of you actually getting accepted once you apply for a particular credit card. They want you to get a credit card through them, through their referral service, because they get a kickback for everybody they send to certain cards. So of course they're only going to push credit cards to you that they think that you're actually going to get accepted for, because that's how they make money. So use an app like Credit Karma, or there's a bunch of other apps like that that you can use, but apps like that are going to help you determine which card is best for you, and they're going to allow you to compare and see what the cash back is and all the other good stuff. The next point of this whole conversation is what to use your credit card for. And the answer to that is simple. Everything. Literally everything that you possibly can. Now there's a few exceptions to this. Certain things like your mortgage or your car loan, things like that, they're probably not going to accept a credit card because then you could probably dispute it. So they're going to want a direct payment from your bank or cash or a check. But a lot of times it's just going to be a direct payment from your bank, like a wire transfer. But on everything else, whether that's your electricity bill, your water, your sewer, whatever it is that you can pay with your credit card, do it. When you go out to eat, when you fill your tank up with gas, use your credit card. These are things that you're going to be spending money on anyway. You might as well get a kickback for doing so. But again, I can't stress it enough. Don't buy things if you don't have the cash for it. Treat the credit card as if it's cash. If you don't have the cash, don't swipe it on your card. The next point to help with the credit score part of the whole thing is to make sure that you keep your credit card utilization below 30%. Shortly after getting a credit card, you're going to realize when they post your balance, meaning they send you a bill saying, hey, this is your balance. For a lot of my cards, it falls around the end of the month. So like the 24th of the month, I know that they're going to post my current balance, and that is going to be my utilization for that month. So typically what I do is I make sure that on the 22nd or the 23rd, maybe a couple days before that, I pay off the balance. That way it is at zero. That way when they go to bill me, I don't have a balance on my credit card. This ensures that my credit utilization is below 30% all of the time. So if you have a $1,000 limit on your card and you've racked up $1,000 of a balance on that card, if that bill hits and says that you've used up $1,000 of your $1,000 limit, that's 100% utilization, which looks very, very bad when it comes to your credit score. So to play the game effectively, you just want to make sure that that 30% utilization is where it needs to be when that bill is posted. By keeping your credit card utilization low and your payment history at 100%, guaranteed to boost your credit score. That's just how it works. And this brings us to our last, but probably the most important part of this entire thing, and that's to make sure that you pay your balance in full every month. In order to avoid paying interest on a balance, you have to pay it in full, because if you're paying an interest, that's because you're paying interest on the amount that's been carried over. And a lot of people think that you just pay credit card interest no matter what, but that's not the case. You only pay interest if you carry a balance from one month to the next month. Of course, each credit card is going to give you a minimum amount that you have to pay, which might be $30, $40, and that's enticing. But don't do that, because then the next month you're going to be paying upwards of 30% in interest on that balance. And once you start doing that, you will never get ahead of it unless you can finally just pay it all off. But personally, I've fallen into that trap before, and it was not fun trying to get out of it. So just avoid that. Pay it in full. Stay ahead of the game. Just never fall into the trap of saying, oh, I'll make up for it in a couple of weeks. I got a paycheck coming. Look, if you don't have the money, don't spend it. Even if it's credit and you have a little bit of time, just don't fall into that trap. If you don't have the cash today, don't swipe the card today. That's got to be number one. It's super important. You have to be extremely responsible and disciplined. Otherwise, you will fall into the trap of credit card debt, and it is extremely difficult to get out of. I've been there. Do not do it. Credit cards can be extremely helpful. They can pay you back. There's a lot of things that they can be utilized for, but again, you have to be extremely disciplined and responsible with them. And just to give a better understanding of how credit card companies can do this without making any money off you paying interest because you're paying it off and they're giving you money back, how does this make sense? How the hell does a credit card company stay alive by offering this? Well, as a little quick explanation of how a credit card company makes money, they make money off two main ways. They make money off of interest by people that have either not paid their balance in full, or they keep holding a balance, or they're defaulting, or whatever the case is. They're making money off the interest somewhere, somehow there, right? That's one way. The other way is because merchants pay a processing fee every time you swipe your card. That fee does not fall on your shoulders. It falls on the merchant's shoulders. So all these places right here, 7-Eleven, they all pay a merchant processing fee every time you swipe your credit card at their place. And depending on the type of establishment, it could be 3% per transaction, or it could be upwards of 8 to 10% per transaction. So the credit card companies are making their money just because you're using the card. All of these places are spending thousands of dollars and sending that directly to the payment processors, to the credit card companies, just to process payments with their cards. If you look at the bottom of your cards, there's only a handful of these processing companies. There's Discover, MasterCard, Visa, American Express. There's a handful of them, but there's not a whole lot of them. Even though your bank issued a card, it's not your bank's card. It's these credit card companies, these card processors who actually own those transactions, and they're making a killing off of it. So that's why they give you cash back rewards to use their card, because they're making so much money in the process of you swiping your card for daily transactions. Again, that fee doesn't fall on your shoulders, it falls on the merchant's shoulders. And the interest doesn't fall on your shoulders as long as you pay everything in full every single month and don't carry a balance. So yeah, that's how credit cards work, and that's how you're able to make some money back by just spending money like you normally would. That is it. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. These are just things that I personally do and I continue to do to improve my credit score and to get free stuff. I hope you got something of value out of this, and leave a comment below if this is something that's helped you, or if you have some other advice. Anyway, I'm gonna go edit this video on the MacBook that I just purchased by using free money that I got from my credit card. Anyway, until next time.